Hey everybody, it's Sean. As some of you know, I'm a amateur snake breeder, hobby snake breeder, whatever you want to call it. And I decided to do a little tour of my reptile room here, and Michelle's, of course. It's a joint venture, but here's my incubator that we just built. Pretty nice. Hoping to get a few more clutches of eggs before the season's up, but it's been pretty slow. So I'm going to start over here on this rack. I hand built all these racks, and I'll show you how they work. There's a thermostat on the back that controls. There's a little patch of tape back there, if you can see, that heats up, and that's how they get their required heat for digestion. All right, well, I'll start. This is my biggest male. He's what's called a super fire. These are all ball pythons. He's about 2,200 grams. He's in shed right now. That's why he's pinked out. When they go in the shed, they get pink bellies. So he'll be shedding probably in about 3 or 4 days. But he's a good boy. He's a little goofy, but not too bad. The next up, this guy is called a clown. He's about 1,100 grams. He's should be breeding for me pretty soon. Males can breed a lot smaller than the females can. So here's another male. This is actually the second one that we added to our collection. This is Lieutenant Dan. He's what's called a queen bee. He's a mixture of pastel, lesser, and spider. There's 3 genes working in this guy. This is our emperor pen. He's the same as what I just showed you, except for having spider, he has pinstripe. So he's a pastel, lesser, pinstripe. They're called an emperor pen. He's my second biggest male after the first one I showed. He went off feed for me for about 3-4 months. Didn't eat, but he's back on feed now, so hopefully put on some more weight. And he already spilled his water. This guy here, this is Dexter. He's what's known as a mystic. Mystics are very similar to another one that I'll show you called a Mojave, but they're a little bit darker and kind of more golden. So this is Dexter. He's a finicky eater too, but he's been trying to get back on feed. So now the next one is one of my favorite. This is Simon. He's what's known as a banana. And he also is heterozygous for the pied gene, which is breeder speak, but he carries a gene that is recessive. So you have to pair him with another female that carries that recessive gene to have a chance of it being shown in their offspring. It's a whole genetics mess, but he's definitely one of my favorites. He's looking for some food. He's back on feed after being on the food strike for a few months. This is one of my smaller males, hiding underneath his water bowl. This guy is an Orange Dream Enchi. Now, Enchi is a kind of a pattern mutation where it's a lot more bands, and you kind of get that graininess on the sides. And then the Orange Dream, obviously, is where this orange comes through. It does really cool things when you start mixing them with other jeans. So this is the only female in this rack. This is Mojo. She's a Mojave. She's a small girl. She's not the best eater, so she's definitely kind of lacking when it comes to size. I was hoping to have her ready to breed next year, but it looks like she might have to wait another year. And this guy here is an Inchy Het for Clown. Now that clown I showed you earlier, he carries the gene for that. But he doesn't express it visually. So I have to pair him with a female that's either a visual clown or that's also Het for Clown like he is, to have a chance at clown offspring. And he has a little hide there. He's a shy guy, so it helps him eat if they're feeling a little more comfortable with the hide. Okay, now these are my big females. And she spilled her water already. And actually, I'm catching her in shed. This is not a very common occurrence, but she's actually in shed right now. This is a Fire Mocha. I'm going to leave her alone. This girl is a Pastel GHI. She's a little shy one, but she's not mean. The GHI is a pattern, kind of a pattern mutation. See how crazy it is? And then the Pastel kind of lightens everything up. I have a few pastels I'll show later. You'll see when compared to like a normal how much lighter they are. Now this is also one of my favorites. This is an Orange Ghost female. She's absolutely gorgeous. I've bred her a few times. I don't think she's going to go this year, but we'll see. Now this is what I thought to be a queen bee, but the more I've seen of her, I think she is a lesser bee. I don't think she has the pastel gene in her that would make her a queen bee like this guy is. I think she's simply a lesser spider, which is called a lesser bee. But she is the mother of those eggs. She produced 6 for me last year and 5 for me this year. I was expecting a few more, but I'll take what I can get. This girl here should be having eggs pretty soon. But she's just a normal. This is your average run-of-the-mill ball python. That's what they look like. She's a sweetie, though. She's a real good girl. Up next, this is a black pastel pinstripe. She's real pretty. She should be big enough to get into the breeding rotation next fall. This is my newest acquisition. This is a calico female. She's big. She's already one of my biggest ones. Looks like she's also in shed. You can see how her eyes are blued out. That means she's getting ready to shed. But the calico does that pattern as you see on the side right there. That's what calico does. And it really does some funky stuff when you start mixing it with other genes. But she's just a single gene calico. Now this was the one we started with. This is our first girl. This is a pastel lesser. So she has the pastel and the lesser, like Dan, Lieutenant Dan. She just doesn't have a pattern mutation. She just has the color mutations. Next up is my pastel yellow belly Hetford Pied. This is Maggie. She's a little, I think she's getting ready to lay eggs. I was hoping to have them by now, but nothing yet. But I bred her with this guy because he's also Hetford Pied. And if they produce what I want, it's going to be a nice payday. Alright, so these are all, in this rack, the last rack here, these are all my younger yearling ball pythons. This one, this is a Blade, and he's Hetford Clown. These guys can be a little grumpy, but Blade is kind of a reduced pattern. Show your face. There you go. These guys are really gentle. There's a couple that don't like to be handled, but hopefully they grow out of it. Now the next one is actually one that we produced last year. We hatched 12 eggs last year. This is our only holdback. This is Lou. He is what's known as a super lesser. So he's almost like the first one I showed you, the Super Fire, but instead of black eyes, he has blue eyes. If I could pick him up here. Let me see. He's looking for food, so he might strike me. It's their feeding day tomorrow, so if I can get his eyes. There we go. See that little blue? They're called blue-eyed leucistic. Really pretty. But that was our only holdback from last year. This guy, this is George. He's a GHI, just a single gene. GHI. He just shed today, so he's looking really good. The GHI is a pattern mutation, and GHI, in case you're wondering, actually stands for gotta have it. That's what the guy decided to call it, so. Next one up is Grumpy. That's his name. He is a VPI exanthic, which exanthic means he's missing the yellow pigment that is normally found in a ball python, which you really can't tell too much. But when you get them next to the normal here, hopefully this camera will pick it up. He's not nearly as yellow. They almost have a silver tone to them. Now the next one, this is actually the sister of that first one I showed you here. She's also a Blade Het Clown. So she has the reduced pattern, but she also carries the clown gene like this guy is, wherever he is. Now the next one's one of my favorites. She is really in shed right now, but she is a pastel leopard. I love that leopard. That pattern is awesome. But yeah, she's really in shed right now, so she probably doesn't like being bothered. But yeah, she's gorgeous. Now, the next three are all sisters. They're all Hetford Clown. The first one, oh, somebody just wants dinner. It's not till tomorrow. She's a Mojave. I'm not going to get in there and try to reach for her. She'll snap if I put my hand in there, so. now the next ones are pastel. The next two are both pastel het clowns. But you'll see how the pastel really brings out the yellows, which pastel tends to fade with time. But it looks really good on them right now. Let me put her next to the normal so you can see the difference between the pastel and the normal. Pretty vivid. But her and her sisters are pretty much my meanest ones. But they're starting to chill out. And the last one, just in case you lost count, I have 27. There's another pastel het clown. So that's the collection. Sure to grow. I'm pretty positive in 2018, 2019. And get a quick look at these eggs. Just in case you've never seen ball python eggs. And that's what they look like. The straws are there just in case they try to roll out. These aren't like bird eggs where they have to rotate. If you rotate these, you can actually drown the embryo. So you must place them exactly as the female laid them. So, all right. Well, that's my snake room tour. I'm going to be expanding the marketing side of things probably the next couple months. I just want to do a quick video and kind of give myself a reference of where I was at this particular point in time. So, thanks for watching.